The rain was relentless, slapping against the windshield like a warning, and the dim streetlights barely illuminated the worn sidewalk as Mark, a single dad, gripped the steering wheel. His son's laughter echoed faintly from the back seat, oblivious to the storm outside or the storm he carried inside. For 2 years, since the accident that had taken his wife, he had been surviving rather than living, holding together a fragile routine of school runs, late-night dinners, and quiet tears he hid behind the walls of their small apartment. Love had felt like a foreign country he could no longer reach, a landscape erased from his memory. He never thought he'd find it again, until the night she walked into his life. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and unexpected miracles, make sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe to Kindness Stories. Her name was Lila. She appeared almost out of nowhere, seated at the small coffee shop where Mark often escaped after work. She was striking, not the kind of beauty that demanded attention, but the kind that drew you in gently, with warmth and quiet confidence. Lila's eyes carried the weight of someone who had been hurt before, someone who had learned to guard herself. Yet, when she smiled at him across the table, there was an openness that caught him off guard. He had grown so used to the shadows of loneliness that he barely recognized the feeling stirring in his chest. Their conversation started casually, over the steaming mugs of coffee that warmed their hands against the chill of early evening. But soon, it drifted into deeper waters, the kind that reveal fragments of past pain and hidden vulnerabilities. She told him, almost shyly, that she hadn't been with a man in 2 years. Her voice was soft, almost tremulous, but it carried a strength he recognized, one that came from surviving heartbreak and still daring to hope. And then, as if testing the boundaries of fate, she asked something that changed everything. She asked if he wanted to see her son. Mark froze, the world around him quieting to a pinpoint of disbelief. He hadn't known her long, and yet, the vulnerability in her eyes was a bridge he couldn't ignore. This was no casual request. It was a glimpse into a life that mirrored his own in ways that terrified and thrilled him simultaneously. She had trusted him in an instant, without the safety net of long acquaintance or shallow politeness. The weight of that trust, of possibility, pressed against his chest, and he realized he was ready to step forward, to risk hope again. The first encounter between their children was tentative, filled with quiet curiosity, shy smiles, and cautious hands reaching for one another. Mark watched as Lila's son hesitated, then slowly offered a block from his tower to his new little friend. In that small gesture, Mark saw an echo of his own fatherhood, the unspoken promise to protect, nurture, and create a space where love could grow, despite the ghosts of loss that lingered around the edges of their lives. That day, in the simplicity of shared play, a seed was planted, a fragile, trembling hope that perhaps their separate worlds could intertwine. Weeks passed, and with each shared breakfast, homework session, and park outing, the bond between them deepened. Yet, Mark's heart remained a battlefield. Memories of his wife were never far, sometimes surfacing in dreams that left him gasping for air or in moments when his son would ask questions he didn't have answers for. He struggled with guilt, with the idea of replacing someone he could never forget, and with the terrifying notion of opening himself fully to another woman when he had only known solitude. Lila, too, carried scars, moments of mistrust and fear, hesitations that sometimes kept her from fully joining the fragile family he offered. One night, after a long day of laughter and chaos, they found themselves alone on the rooftop of his apartment building. The city lights glittered below, a mirror.